All right, guys, so right now, this is the most popular mirrorless camera on Amazon. It happens to be made by Sony, and it also happens to be the cheapest Sony mirrorless camera that you can buy. But it is over 4 years old, and it was originally criticized for being just a recycled camera marketed towards vloggers. So the question is this actually a camera that you should still get, or did the internet completely get it wrong? And we're gonna test it with that. Now, obviously, this is a cheap camera, and it's a few years old now. So there's some modern tech that you're just not going to find on the E10 that you might find on some newer mirrorless cameras. But what's interesting is the marketing for this camera was originally focused on video and very specifically vlogging. And actually, I think that 4 years later, photography is actually where this camera excels the most. So actually, the camera feels pretty decent for a pretty inexpensive camera right now. It is compact. It's only 12 ounces, so it is very lightweight. The grip is definitely a little on the small side. It is a boxy camera overall, this design. So it is not the best from like ergonomics, which you're going to notice if you're holding the camera for more than a few minutes. And on the top, you're going to find an interesting layout here. So there is no mode dial like you would find on virtually every other camera. So you just have this switch to go between photo and video, which is probably the first giveaway that this camera is definitely more video focused. They also have a zoom rocker on the front instead of another dial. And I actually hate this because it only works with power zoom lenses, which out of every Sony lens ever made and all third-party lenses, there are right now only 4 power zoom lenses. So I definitely wish that you could just disable this, because if you accidentally hit it without a PZ lens, and it's a very sensitive dial, it's very easy to press, then it throws an error message saying that it just can't zoom, which gets really annoying unless you're shooting video and shooting with one of the 4 lenses that actually are PZ lenses that work with this camera zoom. Plus, it has a 3-inch touchscreen that is also a flip out screen, so it pretty much checks all the boxes for any good vlogging camera. And you can tap to focus on this. It actually works pretty well, but you can actually just tap to focus on the touchscreen and lock on and track subjects like that. So the hardware, it just kind of is. Like, there's nothing amazing about it. It's not a particularly good looking camera. It's not particularly ergonomic. Again, I don't really use this rocker. I don't really need some of the functionality that's up here. But I don't really miss the viewfinder, and I like having that flip screen for when I'm shooting vertical shots like this. Now, if that is an issue for you, you can always get Sony's a6100, which is essentially the same camera as this, but geared more towards photographers, while the E10 is geared more towards video. Now, while I say that, I actually think there are a few features on the E10 that are actually better for photographers as well. The a6100, for example, it doesn't have this flip out screen. It has a flip up screen, which is fine if you're shooting landscapes, but I find that I shoot vertical a lot and I shoot automotive. So there is no good way for me to get a vertical shot low to the ground or high up in the air without a flip out screen. The E10 also has a slightly tweaked autofocus system and color science that wasn't available when the a6100 was announced. I do have a old review on the a6100, so if you guys want to check that out, or if you want me to remake that as a 2025 update, definitely let me know. Now, I'm not sure if you guys have seen too much of like the commercial content that I've been creating, but all of my commercial videos, even weddings, and definitely all of my YouTube videos, they all use professionally licensed music, and Soundstripe has been my go-to platform for all of its music and sound effects because they just make it so easy to find the tracks I need, and it has definitely my favorite search tools from any platform for actually finding it, but it also integrates directly into Premiere. So I do want to show you guys how I use it. There are a couple different ways to search, but the new AI search tool is just absolutely insane. You can just type in whatever style of project you have, any mood or any detail that's important, and it uses AI powered by ChatGPT to search for that music. And then when you find something you like, you can just add it to your playlist, you can add it to favorites, find similar songs, or even just download the song or any additional stems right there from the download page. But quite often, I don't know exactly what kind of music I want, but I might have a better understanding of what I don't want. So I can just exclude different moods or genres or anything like that right from the search tools until I really kind of narrow down that feel that I'm going for. And sometimes I'll just be in that flow of editing, but I need another soundtrack or sound effect. And so using the Premiere extension without ever leaving my project, I can still browse for music inside of Premiere. When I find something I like, I just hit download and it is automatically imported into my project and ready to use. They also gave me a coupon code that you guys can use to get a discount when you're signing up. Big thanks to Soundstripe for actually sponsoring this video so that I can keep creating content like this for you guys. Now, one of the biggest, strengths of this camera and why I think it actually lends itself pretty well for photography is it's fast and it does it with great autofocus. So the camera can actually shoot up to 11 frames per second, and it does that with UHS 1 cards. So I'll link to like my favorite SD cards and everything like that in the description, but you really don't need to spend more than $35 on amazing cards for this camera. And for whatever reason, this camera has a better buffer than its twin, the Sony a6100. So you can actually get about 13 more images in that 11 frame per second burst on the ZV-E10, which essentially makes this one of the best and fastest cameras at this price range. Plus, in video mode, the autofocus system got some massive upgrades with the E10, and you have so many more settings in this than a lot of other cameras. You have the ability to customize your speeds and all kinds of stuff like that. But before we get into like all of the video stuff, there is another massive highlight for photographers, and that's going to be image quality. So this is a 24 megapixel sensor. The colors look great, which Sony used to struggle with their color science back in the early days of their camera. This camera received a pretty good upgrade when it comes to color science, so that really helped the overall look for this. You have plenty of dynamic range, and low light for this is actually really impressive even by today's standards. And so for $600, you're getting a camera with significant improvements to image quality from something like a phone or a small like point and shoot style camera. All right, so let's get into the video stuff. And what's probably going to be the most surprising is that even though this camera was originally marketed almost strictly for video and actually wouldn't buy it today as a video camera. So first, the positives on this. The hardware for this, it's great for video. You have that flip screen, you have that mic port, you have a headphone jack, you have an HDMI port. It's a micro HDMI, but still, we have a hot shoe on the top that can accept digital audio. So if you're using mics like this one right here, which I'll link to this in the description, you can literally just attach this and no wires. I'm actually getting audio straight from the mic into the camera, super high quality with no cables. You have 3 dedicated capsule mics inside of here for directional ability built into the camera. So the audio options on this are going to be perfect. You have oversampled 4K up to 30 frames per second and 1080p up to 120 frames per second, which was really the best that you could get in pretty much any camera under $1,000 4 years ago. There's also a tally lamp up front, so you can actually see if you're recording. There's a dedicated record button at the top of the camera. There's a whole lot of video-centered features like log profiles and customization to really separate this camera from more photo-centered cameras like the a6100. The problem is that there are a lot of limitations on this camera that a lot of newer cameras don't have. So this sensor, for example, it does have some slower readouts, which means that you will get some of that like jello rolling shutter, especially in 4K. That can really be an issue if you're vlogging or handheld. It does get much better in 1080p, but there's going to be that quality hit going from 4K to 1080p, especially because that 4K is oversampled, so it looks great. There's also a pretty significant crop if you shoot in 4K 30. It's 1.2 times, which means if you like to vlog in 4K 30 and you're using wide angle lenses, they're just not going to look as wide. But all of the color profiles in this camera are 8-bit instead of 10-bit, which basically means that they don't have the color depth to really make shooting in log profiles or flat profiles very usable. Now, this battery also is going to be small, so it's going to run out really fast when you're shooting video. So right now I have not been shooting shooting all that long and my battery is pretty much dead. So don't expect tremendously long battery life on this. Thankfully, batteries are super small. The whole camera is compact. They're not that expensive at all. You're definitely going to need a few extra batteries for this one. And it's going to be very easy to overheat this camera if you're shooting in any of those 4K modes, especially if you're shooting in direct sunlight or in any kind of a hot day. Now, Sony has announced a new version of this. They have the ZV-E10 version 2 that fixes a lot of these issues, and it's a decent step up in camera, but it's a big step up in price as well. It's over $1,000, like over $1,100 with a lens. A lot has changed in the competition over the last 4 years. So Canon has dropped a camera called the R50 and Nikon the Z30, both of which are newer cameras with improved menu systems, improved touch interfaces, and improved video features in about this same price range. But what's interesting is they don't really have better photo image quality, they don't really have faster frame rates for photos, and they don't really have better autofocus for photos. So from a photo standpoint, the ZV-E10 that was originally positioned to be Sony's budget video camera actually ends up succeeding in that photo space more against the competition. But I'll actually be comparing this camera with the new R50 and I think the E10 version 2 next. So definitely stay tuned to that. I also have a ton of BTS over on IG, so check that out. Hit me up with any questions you guys have in the comments about this camera or others. And while you guys are there, it would just mean a lot if you just hit that like button. It goes a long way into helping me create videos. Hope you guys are doing amazing. I'll catch you in the next one.